1057, and it is Hall of Fame week, presented by Kentuckiana Friends and V. We're making a difference in the fight against cancer. To find out more, log on to kfov.org. Appreciate everybody who's given us support so far this week, and we continue now with a very special guest guy I've had the opportunity to interview a number of times, but not for part of Hall of Fame week. He's in so many Hall of Fames, we could just do the whole segment reading the Hall of Fames he's in, but with good reason. He has had a great run at a number of different head coaching positions. He took Oral Roberts from kind of the doldrums to their first NIT bid in decades. Took Tulsa, Illinois, and Kansas to the NCAA tournament. And of course, Kansas, he's won 2 national championships and gone to 4 Final Fours. And if you don't know who that is, then you're not much of a college basketball fan, because that, of course, is Bill Self, and he joins us right now. Bill, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bob. How you doing, man?
Well, we're doing better. Getting a chance to talk to you, it's always fun to talk with you. You have a very we're warned in radio never to use the term very unique, because it's redundant. If it's unique, it's singular, so it can't be very unique. But I'm just trying to emphasize that as far as coaches go, it's a unique experience to interview you, because you are difficult to get down, I guess is the best way to put it. I've told you this before. I don't remember which year it was. With all the great things to talk about in your career, I don't want to bring up unpleasant games, but one of the Champions Classics, your team unfortunately got beat by like 23 or something, and really didn't look very good. And I remember thinking to myself, well, my gosh, this will be the year there's no way they're going to win the Big 12 this year. The streak has to end now. And then I also braced myself, because coaches are not the most pleasant people after losses. So I was like, all right, well, let's go, go take our beating and move on. And I came into the media room. It wasn't like you were having a party, but you were so philosophical about everything, which was like, hey, it's a long season. We're going to get a lot better. It was not a good night tonight, but we're going to be fine. Don't worry about us. And son of a gun, if you didn't win the Big 12 again and just get all the objectives that you wanted to meet with that year, you got met anyway. And if there's a question in that, it's this: do all the years of experience at the different levels of coaching help bring that sense of, I don't want to say patience, because you probably don't consider yourself a very patient man, but perspective, that's the good choice of words. Do all the coaching positions that you've had and the different experiences and all the years now that have gone by, do they help bring you some perspective and keep it that way for you on a night like that?
I actually, you know what, I never thought about it, but, being at Oral Roberts and losing 18 in a row to basically in your first season, I always ask at every clinic I speak to, how many of you guys have lost 18 in a row? And there's always 4 or 5 that raise their hand. I said, how many's lost more? And 2 or 3 raise their hand. And I said, good. I just want to know who I'm a better coach than. So, but the reality of it is, I think my perspective has changed a little bit. There's still pressure to win or whatnot, but I think the understanding it's a long grind and can't let 1 become 2 or 2 become 3, and try to curtail negative momentum as quickly as you can in a way that you can spin it and try to flip it, because as bad as shitty as I feel, they feel just as bad because they care. So, yeah, I think the game you may be referring to may have been we played Kentucky, and that's when they had that platoon system and went on to the national championship game. And I don't think they beat us 23. I think it was over 30. And my son, who was a walk-on, got his career high in minutes against Kentucky in that game. And I said, that's usually not a good sign. When that happens, but they cleaned our clock, and I remember going in the media room and taking a drink of water, and I said, "Damn, I wish this was vodka instead of water." But that team did rally, and most of the teams, everybody's going to have 1 or 2 nights like that throughout a year, and even the best teams, and even though the best teams may still win. Or maybe the deficit may not be as much, but on relative scale, their awful would be like my awful was that night. And so, but we did rally and end up having a pretty good year, I think.
I'm sure, I don't know for a fact, but all the big name college guys that have had the great success and turned out player after player to go to the NBA, Krzyzewski's gone through it before him. I mean, the point I'm getting is the opportunity to go to the NBA always seems to have presented itself. Has that opportunity presented itself to you, and were you ever seriously tempted to pursue it?
I had one definite opportunity, and one that could have been maybe got to the point, but you know what? Whether it be timing, whether it be me being stuck in my ways, whatever the situation, I'll be honest with you, Bob. I feel like I got as good a job or better job than a lot of those.
Oh my gosh,
jobs. I mean, I think I have the best job in college basketball, and so it would take an awful lot to get me really fired up and to want to do anything like that. And there's nothing that's really struck that chord with me. I've been very happy where I'm at.
Bill Self played at Oklahoma State from 81 to 85, started his career as an assistant at Kansas, where he's now the head coach, of course, went back to Oklahoma State as an assistant, and then took his first head coaching job at Oral Roberts in 93. So we're talking about 33 years as a head coach. And then from when you were playing, it's 47 years. So the very logical... I'm sorry?
Basically, you're telling everybody just how old I am.
No,
I'm
telling everybody that, you got to listen to people who have seen the ships pass through, and you have seen that in this league. You played in it, you coached in it, you've seen the dynamics change in terms of money, all of those things. It's a very different creature than it was then from when it is now. What can you learn from that journey? In other words, is there anything, as crazy as it may sound, that was better then, that you say, boy, I wish we could do it like we did then now? Or is it just a matter of, hey, as it grows, it just gets better and better, and we're just, learning as we go? What's your perspective on that, the growth of the league, and then put that in a big perspective for college basketball for me?
Well, I think our league is fantastic. We had a pretty good run. We won it 14 years in a row, and 17 out of 20, and our league is better today with the addition of Houston, Arizona, and BYU, and of course others. Everybody else. Our league is better, and we haven't fared near as well the last 2 years. We've had 2 off years, probably our 2 biggest off years we've had in the time that we've been here, and it's got me fired up. It's got everybody fired up that this isn't the way that we know it. And in large part because other programs have done really well, and we haven't been at the level competing that we need to be out. So it is a learning curve again on okay, how do we get back to where we were and surpass that? So that's part of it. And then the other thing is it's a different world. The dynamics of putting a team together and taking a team through from October through March, and the dynamics of a team and the locker room and everything is different. And that's one I think that all coaches are still adjusting to. Even the ones that's had, the most success from a wins and losses standpoint the last couple of years, they're still adjusting as well. It's easier to go from the mountaintop all the way to the bottom of the mountain faster now with the portal and the NIL. It's also easier to get back up quicker than it was in the past. And so, everybody's just got to adjust and take advantage of the resources they have and be smart about it. And to be honest with you, to me, that is a learning experience that I don't know that some schools are ahead of others, but I know we haven't mastered yet. And we're working hard to do so, and excited about that because as you know, in this sport, the first thing everybody needs to know is no, you don't know. Because as soon as you think you got it figured out, you're going to end up, somebody's going to pass you and all that stuff. So in my world, I want to continue to do this for a while longer, but I don't want to do it for a while longer if there's people out there that have a competitive advantage over us because of me not understanding or whatever. So this has been, it's been fun, even though it's been hard and challenging trying to get my arms around this. And I think we have, to the point where I really like where we're at right now. I really do, and I'm excited about it.
You know, I don't think this is talking out of school. It's not like it's a secret, but your staff, I've done your games for so long, I can't imagine they're not going to be there. But, Fred Kortelbaum and Norm Roberts, and you made some big sweeping changes to your staff. Was it a matter of they wanted to move on, they wanted to retire? Or as you pointed out, it's been 2 long-ish years. Did you feel like changes had to be made? What was the thought behind that process happening?
Well, I didn't feel like changes had to be made whatsoever. I did feel like that we need to adapt better than what we had. I definitely felt that. But with Norm, we've been together off and on since '95, and Q for the last 12 or 13 years. Those 2 guys are A-pluses, but there was also some opportunities, and the timing was best for them to do this based on where they were individually with their families and kind of wanting to do what they wanted. Whatever they want to do moving forward. So that was a situation that was. Was anybody pushed or anything like that? I was happy with the decision they made, but sometimes when decisions are made, it does give you opportunity, and even though those guys will be missed tremendously, I think we did a pretty good job of filling that hole. Getting Jock Bond to come back modern, because not very often can you hire a 3-time head coach that's done a little bit of everything in the sport to be one of your assistants. So I'm excited about that. Everybody is.
Do you have, I think you do, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you have close friends in the coaching business? Who are your closest friends that are coaches?
You know what? I don't know that I have a ton of close friends. Most of my close friends that I have in the business are guys that have worked with us at some point in time and gone off and done other things. Certainly, the Barry Hensons, the Kyle Kellers, Tim Jankovich. Those guys are probably guys that I run stuff by. Leonard Hamilton's, the guys that I've worked with. But there's a ton of guys I speak to, and we chop it up about different things. But guys that I would call true close friends that I would confide in, I really don't have very many of those guys.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, as competitive it is, but it's kind of weird because as competitive as it is, there's only a handful of people in the country that know kind of what you guys do for a living. It's a very unique way to make a living, and so sometimes the only people that can relate to it are the people you're competing with, because it's not. What I have found out is, which is exactly right. Tom and myself, we'll have a 30-minute bench session every now and then, and the others, but the ones that understand the way I want to do it and the way that we do it and what wins for me are, mostly guys that have experienced it with me. And so that's why I would say that about, confiding in certain situations, because it definitely occurs more so with them than it probably would with guys that are colleagues but still yet we're competitors. Bill Self is with us here in Hall of Fame week. We're delighted to have him spend a few minutes with us, guy who has won multiple national championships, multiple Final Fours, taken multiple teams to the NCAA tournament. In fact, he is one of only 2 active coaches that has won multiple national championships. The other is Rick Pitino, which makes a little Louisville tie-in. And here's another Louisville tie-in. The people around here, as you can guess, Bill, are pretty jazzed up. preseason exhibition game between Kansas and Louisville, and I guess it's going to be a couple of years of preseason exhibitions, and then I don't know what will happen after that. But the people around here are pretty excited about that. I don't imagine it's quite the same there because you have a history of playing everybody in the country, but I imagine it's probably an easy sell to your fan base. It's going to be an appealing game, and the people around here are just thrilled about it.
Well, Pat's done an unbelievable job in a short amount of time. He's got that thing turned and everything. Everybody's so excited, and got Louisville basketball back where, obviously it should be. So we'll be excited about going in there. They'll have a preseason top 5, top 8 team. I don't know what it'll be. Our team may not be ranked as high from a preseason standpoint, but we got we were preseason number 1 in the country the last 2 years, and didn't live up to that at all. So maybe we can be a little under the radar this year, but I'm excited about it. And then they'll return the favor next year. But Bob, as you know, athletic departments are going to be looking for every angle to try to raise additional funds.
Yep.
So, basically, I don't want to put this in a negative light, but, we go to Louisville and they can buy us to come in and give us a guarantee. Then we can do the same with them next year when they come to our place. And so I think it'll be a win-win for everyone.
Speaking of come to your place, there are only a handful of places I think that you hear about in terms of a legacy before you get there in whatever sport it may be. Fenway Park in Boston for the Red Sox, maybe Wrigley Field, the Palestra in Philadelphia is a great arena. Allen Fieldhouse, nothing surpasses that. It has the longest legacy you could think of, and when you get there, it never disappoints. It's unbelievable. Now I've been doing games there. I don't know how many years it is now, and every time I go there, there's a little part of me that's just tickled that this is a place we're working. Does it ever get old for you? Do you ever take for granted that you're just going to work when you go to that building?
No. I'm actually, as we're talking, I'm killing time before I park in the parking garage, and I'm driving by Allen Fieldhouse. I'm on Naismith Drive.
Yep.
My office sits on Naismith Drive. The building is 70 years old, and they have done renovations to it that it literally has the modern amenities of a new place, but still didn't use lose the feel of obviously a field house. It's I before every game, especially a big game, we'll be they're getting ready to throw it up, and of course they do the decimal deal on the scoreboard to see how loud they can be and all this stuff. And every game, I turn to my assistants and I say, "Can you believe we get to coach in this?" I mean, it really is. It's good, and people that come here that have never been here, they leave out of here saying, "No, I heard it was good, but I had no idea." I mean, people that play at Blue Bloods come here and said, "Oh my God, I had no idea," because talking about it, as I think you would agree with this, doesn't do it justice from a consistency standpoint. There's a lot of places that are fantastic, but there's few places that can be fantastic, 12 of the 16 nights a season that you would say this ranks up to the best in the country.
I gotta admit, I didn't know about there's essentially like that very small Hall of Fame that you've got in the front part of the arena. That the building itself, even if this didn't exist, you'd still say, "Wow, what a great place to see a game." But then I went into that Hall of Fame and the archives and the history, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's literally
it's great. It's great. When you stop and think about it, our first coach was James Naismith, and even though the game was invented, he's from Canada, and the game was, I guess, invented in Springfield, technically, but he was our first coach. So you stop and think about it. Naismith was here, and then you get into Paul Allen, who is the father of basketball coaching by he's thought of that in all basketball circles. He was our second or third coach. I think there may have been one that for a short stint in between. And then, Adolph Rupp played here. Dean Smith played here. John McClendon went to school here. Then you get into the Ralph Millers and even modern with Larry Brown and Roy Williams and John obviously coached here. Popovich coached here. You got R.C. Buford who coached here. Alvin Gentry who coached here. There's a pretty good list of coaches and assistant coaches that have worked here. And then you throw in, well, I would say Michael's the best that I've ever seen. But I don't know how many people could argue that Will Chamberlain is the most dominant player that's ever played the game. He played here, and then of course, Danny and so many others. So it's pretty special to be the caretaker of this place. I know there's a lot of places with great history and tradition, but a lot of the history and tradition at other great places, you could trace it back to Lawrence, Kansas.
That's true. That really is. That's what they used to say where I grew up. If you go back far enough, everybody came from Brooklyn. And that's how it is in basketball, I guess. If you go back far enough, everybody came from Lawrence, Kansas in college basketball. That's probably the truth. Bill Self with us here on Hall of Fame Week. One more thing before we let him go, and that is we always end by kind of looking ahead to the future. You are, whether you like it or not, the coaches in the league kind of refer to as the voice of the league. What you say in the meetings has a lot more weight than what anybody else says. And that's not being sarcastic. It's just the truth. You've had the kind of run you've had. The same way with Coach K when he was in the ACC and others elsewhere. I imagine it's that way with Izzo in the Big Ten. What do you see going forward for college sports that would be the most pressing issues to address effectively? What do you see?
Well, to me, we're at a point right now where we're at the peak of uncertainty, and maybe the judge's ruling obviously will provide a little bit of guardrails on putting things not back to where it was, because the genie's never going back in the bottle, but put guardrails on where everybody will have a little bit more certainty under how this thing actually works and operates. I think all businesses go through change, and when we go through change, it creates discomfort, and certainly this has done this with college athletics big time. But the uncertainty of it will be better moving forward than the way we see it today. And the quality of play, Bob, you'll probably agree with me. Yeah, watching the games this year and watching the Final Four, the quality of play is fabulous. I don't think we've taken a back step at all with that. Maybe a little bit of a side step, but the quality of play is great. The coaching's still terrific. The fact that we hit people up for money to support individuals, that there's no guarantee if they'll be at a place more than 1 year because they're free agents every year. Mm-hmm. And there is going to be unbelievable fatigue, and there already is, with these donors and boosters that we hit up, that sometimes I think doesn't make it seem as family-oriented or as personal. And I think that those things need to be addressed. Our game in general is good. I do think that everything is so cyclical, and right now the game is being played, and how many threes you can shoot, and this, and that. And I was looking at NBA teams and what they're doing with free agency, and how many people are going back to trying to play two bigs in the NBA. And I wonder, but one of them, they're obviously going to be more skilled than maybe what they were in the past. But how many people are trying to play two bigs, or at least moving forward with that thought? And I wonder, it'll come back that way in college too. It's just the bigs will be more skilled. But I just find our game so fascinating, because the more that you think you understand it, the more you realize you don't. Even the best coaches, you find the perfect thing to run, and somebody's going to figure out how to guard it. And as soon as somebody figures out how to guard it, the whole country knows how to. There's no secrets. So I just find it so fascinating that what we really need to do, of course, actions are important, and running stuff is important, and systems are important. But what we really got to do, we got to develop kids. And kids have to get better, because the hardest things to guard and the hardest things to score against are against good athletes that actually can play and know how to play. And I get excited about teaching our guys that each and every year.
Bill, every time I get a chance to talk to you, I'm reminded of why I look forward to it. You're one of my favorites, and this was no exception. Thank you for taking a good chunk of minutes out of your summer here to visit with us on Hall of Fame Week. Congratulations on all the Hall of Fames that you're in, and continued success in your career. We will look forward to seeing you in October here in Louisville.
All right, then. I'll see you, Bob.
All right, Bill. Thanks. Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
Take care.
Have a good summer. Bye.
Big deal.